preparing, so let's wait. And we are live
All
with
right.
special guest today, Vishakha Gupta. She's founder and CEO at Aperture Data in the San Francisco Bay Area. You can go check them out at aperturedata.io. It's managing multimodal data. And yeah, it's just simplification. So Visha is going to explain us a bit more about what she does. Welcome to the pod, Visha. Can you tell us bit more about Aperture and what's your role inside that beautiful company?
Yeah. Thanks so much for inviting me, Charles. What does Aperture Data do? Well, you've been talking to a lot of people who work in the space, and you've probably seen a lot of, agents doing things for us. Before that, it was all these chatbots giving us answers on a large amount of knowledge base that you might have access to. Before that, it was, machine learning models could suddenly start telling us what's happening in a video, what's happening in an image. But underneath all of that, there's the need for data to be present and be accessible. And accessible in a manner that you can search easily, and do it rapidly and find the things you're looking for relevant to your context. And what that means is you need to be able to search by semantics. So you can find me something that looks like this or has these attributes. Then find by context, like what do who is connected, like who are all the people that Charles knows. I only want the content created for those people. And then the data itself. So one of the very important things now is if we want AI to start being a true companion, it needs to become multimodal. And by that, what I mean is we as humans process not just text, and our brains are not tabular. We don't think in terms of row column data. We actually look at images, we listen to audio, video, we look and listen to video and stuff. So we combine information across modalities, connect the dots in our mind, and then we are able to retrieve what's most relevant for that context and perform the job we are given. And for AI to become that, it needs that underlying infrastructure, and that's what we are building. So you can call it like, it's the foundational data layer for the AI era. So we are, we have been building this combination of, the unique thing about our database is this combination of vector search, graph search, and multimodality, which is something that you find in Aperture DB. And this positions us very well to also serve as agentic memory infrastructure as we go into the next wave of applications.
Right.
So that's, well, the long and short of it.
Thanks for that. Where's your main product market fit? So who's your main ICP and what's the main feature that they use you for?
Yeah, so I mean, in general, we've been working with Fortune 50 retailers and life sciences companies. So we've kind of gone into applications like personalized recommendations, which is where you really need to find the right product, but also match it to what the users want. And there is typically a combination of data types. There's product images, there is user feedback, all that stuff that you have to combine and process. Then there is the retail store side where, I really like this use case that we have with Badger Technologies. We even have a case study. They are part of Jabil, where they have robots going up and down grocery store aisle, and they do thousands of image matches per second to find if the product is in the right position on a shelf. And so, there is basically like that's the retail e-commerce side of things. There is, understanding the attributes of the product, customer support. And then there is the other vertical that we've been getting pulled from is on the life sciences and healthcare side, because, that per patient, there is a variety of data that doctors collect. There's doctor's notes, there's our CT scans, medical scans, all the tests and sensor information that we have. If you can correlate that with your history, so essentially establish the connections in a graph, and also correlate with the research out there, you can start to build, a doctor's assistant in the classic Gen AI agentic world that can really help do a full diagnosis and like a more customized treatment and help doctors understand things. So that's kind of like the verticals. We end up working with AI teams of different sizes. Typically, it's the data engineers and data scientists, and then the people who are building end user applications. So we have multiple stakeholders at any company because we are talking about data that always touches multiple aspects of any company. So yeah, those are currently our focus, but there's a lot of other verticals. Everything is going to be multimodal. Everything is turning agentic, and so data is the common theme. It's just
Right.
how we go one after the other.
And why launch in that specific niche? Have you always been a nerd?
Oh, about the database itself?
Yeah.
Yes, I always have been. So even now, as a founder, I have to interact more with people and do more of the sales and marketing and go-to-market stuff, right? And I always make a comment. I used to understand code a lot better than I understand people. Why did somebody go silent? Or why did they respond when they responded? Or why did some messaging resonate and not some other? I've been saying, like, we've had this vision for almost a decade now. Why is it connecting now with people? Like, that stuff is harder than when I had to do kernel code debugging. Even without all the new tools today, it was a lot easier to always write code. And for me, the backend infrastructure has always been where that's not going to be phased out as easily by AI, for one thing, which is not what I was thinking earlier, but now I realize the benefit. And backend infrastructure is where you get to see what the rest of the world is doing. Any sort of application comes and uses backend infrastructure, and I really like that part of, you can still be in the background, but really be making a big impact. So yeah, I've always liked backend infrastructure, and so it was a natural progression to getting into a database product, which I've been told is the worst thing you can do to yourself as a founder, as a first-time founder. So, but here we are.
Yeah, how was that ride? You've raised 5 million. Like, how would you have described it so far, the 7, 8 years ride you've been through so far?
So yeah, we've raised just over 8 actually between pre-seed and seed. And it's been a really fascinating journey. I was at Intel prior to that, and prior to that, I went and I was studying, got PhD and master's before, but you don't get to learn every aspect of running something, or taking it from zero to something bigger and actually making a difference and seeing how people use products in a large company per se. It's great to understand, the dynamics and how people work and, kind of fine tune your skills when you're in a big company. I really learned a lot from my teammates there, but and that was in coding and how you think about architecting software and all those things. But there are so many other aspects to taking a startup off the ground and raising money. You're always selling, but you really can't. You have to stay true to what you believe and not get lost in all this information deluge that happens and varying feedback that you get from different places. And you get to manage the finances. You get to manage to answer. You have to answer not just your customers, but your investors and your team. You have to make sure everyone is enjoying the journey, including yourself. So, there is a lot of aspects of, and you get exposed to sales and marketing and budgeting and finances and just the general strategy and then the day-to-day products. So I don't know where else you can do that unless you do a startup.
Right. And what part do you hate the most? Is it fundraising? Is it sales? And what part do you like the most? Do you still code nowadays?
Well, am I allowed to say I hate fundraising?
Yes, you are,
Because it's
obviously.
a necessary thing to do sometimes. But yeah, that's the part where it's just like a long thing and it takes you away from actually working on the problems you're trying to solve because you have to focus so much time. But I understand that's part of the job. I really enjoy so I mean, externally, I really enjoy learning about all these different applications that we can power, right? Every time I talk to users and potential customers, just the ideas they have and the kinds of problems they solve and where we can help. That's just amazing to learn. And then on the internal side, on the company side, the team is like, they build things so fast. You asked me if I'm still coding. I had to stop because with all the number of meetings I do, I could not keep up with how much they were, generating value day to day. And I had to, now I do coding, but it's more, how am I going to demo some feature, like try out my own MCP server, kind of see if I can present our product in a certain way. But what I do bring is like, since I talk to a lot of people who would use the product, I get to bring that feedback to the team, set the strategic, vision that we have. So I'm still very close to the product, but not so close as I used to be when we started building it.
Right. What do you do when you're having like a tough day? Let's say you're in the middle of fundraising, you're getting a bunch of no's, cash is getting tight, like what's the mindset in these crunch times?
Well, this is where I feel like having 2 kids at home is like you have a really tough day, you wait, you go see them, they'll come with stories that just put everything in perspective. Because there is so much important stuff happening in school. They're like my kids are in elementary school right now, and even then, there's a lot of interesting stories that happen. And then talking to my husband about the product stuff he's building, and all his curiosity and the encouragement there. I think that's what keeps it going. And then you realize, well, you're doing this for a purpose. So, there's always going to be ups and downs. It's just the hard part is keeping like a constant emotional level. I think I get excited when, we sign some cool company, and then of course, if things get delayed or someone says no, that's always disappointing. But yeah, you just have to kind of come back to, or just go get a nice cup of mocha somewhere in the afternoon and walk, or meet some friends who understand. So yeah, I do talk to people. I do believe that you need a circle of people around you who have been through similar stuff and who haven't been through similar stuff, because all that just makes you realize there's a lot more you can do and keep going.
Right. Yeah, and I think the levels of excitements and disappointments, they level up with time. They become more stable, and I think that's good because when you get super high, then you get super low after sometimes. So I think that's actually good. I'm curious the kind of parent you are and your parenting style with your daughter vs how your parents raise you. How is it different and how is it similar?
Well, so, my parents always encourage me to go learn things and go do things and go try things, even if, I used to come and ask my mom, hey, there is this exam, but I don't know so much about it, because I was I cared a lot about academics, and I had to be prepared. And it's, even now when I go present, I need to have the data. I need to know how the experiment was run. So any question comes my way, I know the answer. That's just how I work. And she would be like, just go try it out. What's the worst? You'll fail, you'll learn, and you'll do better next time. And it, at the time I didn't realize, but it really gives you that, okay, it's fine, go try. Even now, when my other founder friends would ask me, well, hey, I've heard fundraising is so hard, should we like raise money or not? I'm like, the bigger question is, are you a startup or are you a small business? Answer that for yourself. If you need to raise money, think about it long and hard. The worst you'll have to do, instead of 30 meetings, you'll have to do 70 meetings. And you just need one yes. So it's easier said than done. There's always times it's like, this is hard, but that's the ultimate thing. And we've kind of brought the same thing into our parenting stuff. Like, if I have a bad day, I tell the girls, they'll ask me what happened. They'll ask me, oh, did that customer sign or not? We are waiting on our burgers and fries, They are part of the journey. And for me, the important thing is they know whatever profession they choose, they will be able to do it. There's no restriction because you can't do something or whatever. It's what we tell them is, you work hard, you're smart about it, you'll get you'll get somewhere. There'll be failures, but then you'll overcome them and do something. And it's the same thing between both of us. And one of the other things we like to show them is how we split our tasks so that we can each support each other's careers. And both the things are important. Family time is important, career is very important, and you just make sure we support each other. So that's what they are picking up from us. And, that's what our parents kind of also taught us to go get and figure it out. So I think that part is common. The different thing is my mom used to make fresh food for me every morning to take for lunch. I don't. I've made certain compromises on what is possible, what is not. And that's just, it's more practicality driven. She had more like the kids should have all these things, and the same thing with dad too. So that changes.
What's your strategy with that? Do you just Uber it, or like I think that's what I would do, or like have a chef prepare for the full week or something?
Well, I happen to be the chef preparing for the week, but it's very organized. We know what goes in the lunch boxes. 3 days me, 2 days my husband because he drops them. We have everything split down to we know what's happening.
The calories,
We
the
literally joke there are
proteins,
protocols in the house to do certain things. So
the macros, all of it done through a ChatGPT recipe. Now, what's your prediction? Well, first, how do you leverage AI yourself, like on a daily basis? Like, are you always chatting with chat? Do you use it for coding? Do you vibe code? Tell me about like your personal AI production stack.
So, one of the things we talked about is like, I don't do a lot of backend database code as much anymore. So I end up using chat more for helping me create content these days, because a lot of the times now I have to talk to people and get them to understand what Aperture DB offers, why it's valuable, and how it compares to different things. So, there's a lot of content to be created. So I use help there. I use it to understand, if there is some company I learn of that I need to understand what they do. So I start my research from there, and then I switch into my PhD mode of research, and I need to understand the data structures they use and how they lay out the data and all that stuff. But I do rely sometimes on when I was setting up my MCP server, or when I was looking at the code, like our own documentation has a chat bot which helps answer questions, and I sometimes use that too. So it's been more on the content side. Vibe coding, I'm still kind of like, I'm one of the paranoid type of people. I'm so used to low-level systems programming, and I've spent a long time on a bug that missed one assignment to the right register that I really like to check the code carefully. So I just have to do a lot more thorough check on that. But I'm getting there. It took me some time to adopt, get off of my shell scripting and get to Jupyter notebooks. And now this is my next evolution. It's going to take some time.
We see GPT or OpenAI at least take a lot of their programming language intelligence to PhD levels as frameworks. Do you think that's the best framework? Is it math competition as well? Is that like the best way to prove if a model is actually intelligent?
I mean, I think there are different. So I feel like a lot of these things depend on who they are catering to. If you just want to make headlines and prove, oh, we beat this and we beat that, great. But if you really want to be making difference, then it starts to become very domain specific. Like, did all the things that I figure help a doctor diagnose a disease that they otherwise would have missed? Did all these, did something help me understand my world with the accuracy that I deserved in understanding? Because, there's this dichotomy in our minds. When we use software, we kind of expect it to be giving us, over time, we've relied on Google searches to give us all the material. And now something is summarizing it for us. Is it always reliable? And I feel like once we can say it is reliable, once it starts giving us answers that help us solve our problems accurately, that's really the test of how well things are doing. And it's not always the latest model. It's sometimes maybe the previous model that works efficiently, but relies on the right data. So for me, it always comes down to, is it using the correct set of data, and is it picking up all that signal, or is it just trying to be cool?
There you go. We're almost on time. What's your next goals here this year? Like, what do you want to achieve? What's next for you and the company?
For us, we are actually now, we've built a really great foundational layer, and there is a very good match in all the AI agent stuff that's going on. So for us now, it's about expanding our community, getting it in hands of more and more people, and actually building that, offering that agentic memory layer that can, what I was saying, like get the relevant data to the people. So we want to bridge that gap. We want to help solve those problems so that it really becomes a true companion and something that's really helping solve problems than just a tool to claim that it's going to replace, I don't know, half of humanity with AI or something like that, So we want to, that's what we are going to focus on.
So where can people find out more about you and the company, Visha?
They can go to my LinkedIn. They can always add me there. And our company website is pretty up to date. We post pretty regularly on LinkedIn and X, both. That's that, and aperturedata.io. Give it a try. Actually, the best way to learn about a product is to try it out. cloud.aperturedata.io/sign up. We have a Slack channel where all our team answers questions from the community. So when people try, if something doesn't work the way they expect, they should ping us. They should share